Welcome back to The Christian Beat. Today we're in Franklin, Tennessee. So happy to be sitting down with members of Selah. Thank you guys for taking the time to sit down with us.
No, thanks for having us.
Really appreciate
I'll tell you
that.
what, Herb, thanks for, you always share about our stuff.
Yes.
Like all the time. And and I retweet or I repost, but I just appreciate how you just keep putting out content, but you've always been so supportive of us. So thank you.
Thank you for saying that, and thank you. I feel, like we all work together to get the message of God out, and we all have our parts to play, so I'm happy to play that part, and thank you guys for all that you do. We're a team. We're working together. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
That's right.
There's a lot of exciting things to talk about today, including your new music, and I want to get to that. But I first want to congratulate you guys, because it's not often we get to talk with someone who has 25 years of experience in Christian music. And so I want to take that minute to pause and say congratulations on such a milestone.
Thank you.
And this question could be really big, but I'll just kind of ask you for maybe brief ideas about how the industry has stayed the same and also how things have changed over those
Great
years.
question.
That's a great question. Okay, so do you know what cassettes are?
Yes.
When we started, our first two albums were CD and cassette. And then I remember when the label came to us, we were on Curb Records, and they were like, hey, we're not going to make cassettes for your Christmas album. We were just about to release our Rose of Bethlehem album, and Napster had just come out. And it had come out before, but it really hit the industry around that time. And all of a sudden, albums dropped from, they used to be $18.98, and you would go to a bookstore like Tower Records, and you would buy it there, or Media Play where Allan worked.
I worked.
And they came to us and they said, we're doing everything for $9.99. And they were copying Apple Music, who had just launched iTunes, or I don't even know if they launched, maybe it was iTunes, and it was like $9.99 and 99 cents. That was the new thing. And so it was this massive switch, kind of like going from when transportation went from horses to automobiles, and now you've suddenly got to learn this new thing, and gas stations haven't been built yet, and paved roads haven't been built yet, and this and that and whatever else. It was all this new massive disruption.
Very disruptive.
I think royalties dropped over the next 10 years by 90%.
Wow.
And so every year, 10 years, and I remember every year it would drop like 10%. And I remember thinking like, man, I have wanted to do this since I was a kid, and I've been in this for a while. Why did I pick like the worst industry to where I cannot provide for my family? Because it was terrifying. And then you move into this streaming thing. It's like, what is this? And now it's come to the point where we've gone back to the 50s to where it's all single-based, and then you're trying to playlist. So you start releasing songs every 4 to 6 weeks, because Spotify has set up the system where if you release a song and then you release one next week, that second song's going to kind of die. But if you wait about 4 to 6 weeks, then they'll play it. They'll get it on more of their playlists. And then you've got to focus in on countries. The more countries you're in, the more valuable it is to Spotify. Wow. So if we have 500,000 streams and we're in 30 countries, that's much more valuable to them than if we have 500,000 streams and we're just in America. So you've got to look at advertising on Facebook and Instagram, and how do we get into, we're in Indonesia. Okay, let's put some advertising there. So
his degree is in business music. Can you tell? Music business.
But that stuff we've learned like over the past 3 years. We started a label. We were with Curb, had a great relationship with them. But Allan was like, hey, we need to be more nimble, and we need to get more music out. And so we started our own label, and then ended up signing a special deal with Integrity. We were probably the only artists who had 2 album deals at the same time. And we did one with them called Firm Foundation, which won 2 Dove Awards, and then released Step Into My Story, which was our first one. It went #1 on Billboard or iTunes, and won a Dove Award for Inspirational Album of the Year. And then we went back and did an album with Integrity, that one name, which was again nominated for Inspirational Album, but that was songs from around the world, because it's like, how can we connect with these other songwriters who are writing this incredible music and introduce it to the English-speaking world? And then Allan was like, hey, it's been 25 years. We should go back and do a hymns record, like the $2,000 album we recorded in 2 weeks. That was our first one, Be Still My Soul. And so we went back and did that. And then we were like, hey, it's been 20 years since Christmas. Why don't we release another Christmas record? And so Amy was ready to kill us. It's one of those things. I'm speaking more on how it's changed. They can talk about how it's the same. But to me, it's like, you've got to be more nimble. You've got to put out stuff more consistently. Social media, you're not so much a music artist as you are a storyteller who does music. And then you have to talk, like, I don't really care that you ate a steak, but I guess people want to know. And so there has to be more of a conversation.
People want to know about my puppies.
Yes.
Well,
of course.
Well, and I would want to know about the puppies.
Yes.
So, but yeah, so it's a lot of that has changed. So how would you guys say it's the same? What has stayed the same?
Well, music it's music, right? And you always share about sounds may change, or genres might be different, but at the heart of what music does, and you say it eloquently. How do you always talk about music as a language?
Oh, I mean, music can do so much more than when words can't do something, a song can, or music can. It's universal. It truly is, especially, and that played out for me, especially with the one name. One of the songs on there that I sing the lead on is called "So Beautiful," but it's from Indonesia, and is the original? Is it Sungguh Indah?
Sungguh Indah.
Sungguh Indah. So when we got the demo for that, when they're like, "Here are these songs from around the world that are coming," and I remember playing that one, and I could not understand him. I couldn't understand the lyrics, but my heart leapt, and I was like, "This song is peace." And this song is beauty. And I was like, and I know absolutely I want us to record this song. And the only thing that would have made it even greater for me would have been to be able to sing with him, And we had tried that, but of course COVID had happened, and just logistically it couldn't work. Now down the line, I would love for us to, but again, to go back to what Todd was saying, being nimble enough, we can really, genre. If we're like, hey, we want to throw out one big, beautiful, inspirational Broadway song, let Amy go her own, we can do that. And it doesn't change the core of who we are or what we do, because we've always incorporated so many styles. So I think as far as the industry staying the same, I think music, styles may change, but music's purpose and how it penetrates your heart has stayed. And also, too, I think it really comes down to great songs. I mean, even though the model has changed now back to singles more so than crafting an album, which we still love to craft albums, but the song has to be great, I think, to touch someone's heart.
Totally.
Absolutely. I love the perspective. I so appreciate you guys sharing that. So insightful. I appreciate that. And again, a milestone of 25 years in Christian music. I want to ask you briefly touched on the Greatest Hymns Volume 3 and kind of an interesting process inviting a unique opportunity for fans to help with song selection. I'm curious, did that make the final selection easier or more difficult, or somewhere in the middle?
I think it helped. Well, so there were 1,000 suggestions.
That part at first was like,
we went through and tabulated like what got the most votes, and The Love of God by far got the most votes. And then there were some songs where they got a lot of votes, but then we would try to do arrangements, and for some reason it just didn't work. So then you would pick from, you'd go to the next song. So it gave us a great list to go by and go, okay, hey, yeah, definitely that one, definitely this one. And then there were certain songs, too, we'd never heard of, and so then it was like, oh, that one's kind of interesting. So it was a massive list to go from, but it was really fun, just including everybody in. And you could tell they felt a lot of ownership in it. And then we tabulated the top 50, and then we narrowed it down to 10 from there, and then just kind of kept it quiet, And then the day that the albums you were able to order it from our website. We just sat there on Facebook Live and we just autographed, and we're like, hey, if you order it by midnight tonight, we're going to give you signed copies of both the Greatest Hymns and the Christmas one at this table. And I think we almost sold like 1,000 of them or something like that.
Yeah, we played
for the first time, getting to hear did the song kind of I voted for most
how cool.
make the album. So
what a unique opportunity. I want to ask you about that Christmas album At This Table. As you mentioned, your first holiday project released since 2002.
Yes, 20 years.
Making a Christmas album has to be a very difficult thing because people have certain songs that they like to hear certain ways.
Yeah.
And talk to me some about the heart and strategy and mindset behind creating this project.
Man, I'll tell you what. So our first Christmas record is probably my favorite album we've ever done. And what's interesting is when we recorded it, I thought it was going to be the worst one we ever did because the label wanted it. But a lot of times when you do a Christmas album, a seasonal one, it's kind of a freebie for them. It doesn't count towards your contract. So we had said, okay, we'll do it, but you got to agree to this and this and this. And they wouldn't agree to it. So we're like, hey, we're just going to hold off on it. We're work on the next project. Well, then it was like June. Normally you have to have a Christmas album turned in by July. And so it was like, I don't know, maybe May or June, they were like, hey, you know what? We agree to terms. You guys go ahead and do it. So we had to rush and record. And I remember just listening to mixes and going, this does not sound that great. And our producer, Jason, especially on a song called Oh Holy Night, ended up putting some of his vocals on and doing some EQ stuff that like made that song go from mediocre to just, it's one of my favorite songs that we've ever done. And the whole album is one of my favorites. And so I remember thinking, man, to do another Christmas record like at this table, I don't know, can we match it? Can it be good? And it just got us so good that we were able to find songs and record them. And then Amy brought in At This Table, you know, she was like, you guys do it. I don't have time. I've got a foster child. You know,
crazy. I was like, I will just show up and sing what you tell me. Just do it. Just do it.
But how'd you hear that song? And then what does it mean to you?
Well, I had heard it a couple years. Whenever it first came out, it's Idina Menzel. I'd heard it in a Starbucks, and I was standing there with my coffee crying in Starbucks because it was just so beautiful. And the lyrics are come just as you are. You know, the door is always open, and there's no judgment here. Only mercy has a seat. And we've been going through stuff, and it's hard. You know, I grew up in a home with my parents did foster care, and we have 4 adopted siblings through foster care. And I was like, I got this. And then we got our first foster child, and it's been like a tornado through our home and our lives and emotionally, and I cry a lot. And so then I was just thinking about that song, and I was like, I wonder if it's too late. I told the boys not to include me, but I really think we should do this song because it just reminds me of my family, and we're so diverse, and we have different political beliefs and different religious beliefs. Everything is different, but we always have known, my mom has always made it known that no matter where we are in our life, no matter what we're going through, even if we're not, you know, walking with the Lord, even if we're just on a totally different page as everyone else, we are always welcome in her home. And it's just become such a special song to me. And just thinking about even her relationship, like that she still has with previous foster kids, like she'll just start talking about their kids, and I'm like, you're still in contact with them? Like, that's so beautiful. And she's just always made a point to you know, to be that welcoming. And when you look at the lyrics of the song, that's how Jesus calls us, you know, come as you are. You're welcome here. There's no judgment, just mercy. Come.
Absolutely.
And I will take care of you. I'll give you rest. And so it's just a special song to me. And when I played it for the boys, they were like, all right, let's do it. And, you know, it's just, yeah, it's very special to me.
Well, and it fits so perfectly as far as moving into Thanksgiving and then going into Christmas. And like Amy was saying, there's sometimes where, you know, you might not have great relationships with family members, and you go back and it's awkward or it's painful, but to have a place where things can be safe, like the way that her mom has created it, or had created her house, is so beautiful. And sorry, I wasn't trying to look rude, like, hey, I got to get on my phone, I have important things to do. But we got a message yesterday from one of the songwriters of At This Table. And so I just wanted to read it. It just says, hey guys, Jonas Mirren here, songwriter behind 10,000 Reasons, Cornerstone, and others. Just wanted to say how honored and blessed I am to hear that you are recording At This Table and that you named the album that too. I've always loved your voices and music, and so I'm so excited to hear your version of At This Table. I think it is my favorite Christmas song I've written, and everything happening around us, the message is so important for the world.
Yes.
We'll for sure send it to Idina too. And I kind of did a backflip when he said that. He said she will be so pumped. And then he was just asking like when it will be available. So just, you know, even hearing that from the songwriter of it, you know, and I sent him a digital copy of it so he could listen to it and send it on to Idina. But yeah, I think that sums it up, you know, just what the project is about.
What a beautiful, beautiful message and a beautiful project. Both those albums available now. Selah, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and talk with us. So appreciate the time. And again, 25 years in Christian music, and I can't wait to see what comes next from you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.